was from. This is music. Nassau, the Bahamas. I got 2, 3 in my mind. Got every song. Release you will find. The time is 4 o'clock. When the nation stops free mind. Free the mind. Free the mind.
This is what I'm saying.
You will find your free mind. From the ghetto to all places, hustlers to the sky. From the fuse to parliament, oh, the free the mind. I got to free my mind. Got every song. The realest you will find. I got to free my mind. Got every song. The realest you will find. It's about that time. Every mind. It's about that time. Every mind. It's about that time. Every mind. It's about that time. Every mind.
Star 106 hits. Happy Friday. Happy weekend, everybody. Welcome to your weekend edition of Free Your Mind, brought to you courtesy of KFC. Thank you to Pinder Tile, Muffler World, Guinness. That's Guinness Smooth to be exact. Cash and Go. I want to say thank you to Discount Distributors and Produce Express. Brand new stock in. So if you're looking for the freshest fruits, vegetables, meats just the way you like it, grocery items at unbeatably low prices, then of course it's got to be Discount Distributors. And might I add, get ready, starting I think next week. It's all about them balsam firs from Canada. Fresh, fluffy Christmas trees. Man, do you see the weather changing? And speaking of changing, y'all don't forget, time is changing this Sunday. Yep. So guess what? Saturday night, 12 o'clock. Or should I say 11:59? Know that time will fall back. All right. Don't act like you didn't know. You know, Monday come, you're late for work. You talk about, oh, I didn't know time change. Yes, you did. We've been telling you from Thursday and Friday. So with that said, it's good to be in your company. We're gonna turn up a little bit. PeeJae Fuego is back from vacation. All right.
Oh, yes.
And
Count to 5 like a lie,
still looking
everybody.
like it's winter somewhere. But nevertheless, join us on our feed, Star 106 and Natural Empress on Facebook, so you could see the boy. And of course, everybody on the FM band, happy Friday to y'all, 106.5 and channel 976 on cable. I'm just glad that you're here. However you get here, glad that you're here. PeeJae, welcome back. Where you coming in? You coming in from the cold?
Yes, coming in from a bit Paris. I came to give you guys a little time difference. Hello, hi, yes, thank you for having me from also the old side of the world, from Santorini, Greece. In my
Greece
mind,
was
but I'm
yeah.
no, I said in my mind, but physically I'm at work.
How you doing? How was the vacay?
I'm good. It was good. I would say this though, it was my first time traveling since the pandemic, and I feel as though I got over fear. Kind of like the idea of taking the leap of faith to learn how to fly. I think after getting over that initial fear of the whole, oh, what if you catch the COVID before you come back, or what if you run somewhere there's no
Oh,
mask,
that's what you mean.
like that type of fear. But now that that's out of my system, I'm good to go. But I would say what took me back, I only went to just our neighbors right to next door of us. What took me back was that a lot of folks are trying to figure out if COVID only exists in the Bahamas, or if or if
I
if people are getting over it quicker in other countries than here. Because Ambrose, I promise you, folks were looking at me weird for wearing a mask. Folks were looking up like, oh, why are you wearing a mask? You see anyone else got a mask on? I'm like, that's why I'm wearing a mask, because I don't see anyone else wearing one.
Yeah, you have to stand firm and stand predominant, because I'm telling you, when I went 2 months, like almost a month, 2 months ago now,
Mhm.
I was so paranoid the way you were, because everywhere you went, you walk into a store, automatically you look to your left or right for the sanitization, right?
And
And there was none.
there was
So you're like
none.
walking, and it's like none. Nobody's spraying. Nobody's spraying, or no automatic
No little
sanitization,
sensor.
temperature check, and no
Nothing.
mask.
Like there was nothing. I think what even made it even more funnier was that I was walking around with my spray hand sanitizer, thanks from the doll. So picture me walking into the function, and I'm whenever you shake hands, I'm obviously, choop, choop. All right, thank you so much. Dap up, and they're
I was just about to say, you didn't teach them the bumping of the shoulders.
no, I'm teaching.
Or the elbow?
I was trying to give them a little elbow work, and it was crazy the type of looks or the type of stares or even some like joking remarks that you would get back from doing those things or taking those type of precautions. It made me realize that, hey, maybe here in Bahamas we actually have a good thing in terms of a little bit of the protocols or even some of our safety measures in comparison to other countries.
But then when you look at other countries like the neighboring, let's just go to Florida, where
Yeah.
we don't see that heightened level of protocol, right? Mind you, their numbers ain't really going up though. So what's why you think we're overly cautious?
I think we're cautious with reason, only because that I think that our geographical location is a whole lot smaller than Florida. Because if you live in Tallahassee and I'm in Orlando, we're 4 hours and some apart already. In comparison to if you're insert area here, in comparison to other area, you 5 minutes away. and that may be with traffic in comparison to a contagious disease. So I kind of get it, kind of not. I'm not really a doctor, but I I see how it can play into that type of effect. Because I promise you, I went to insert game homecoming game here, and it was the magnitude of folks that were not wearing masks, that were still socializing. I'm talking bumper to bumper, shoulder to shoulder, and I am actively trying to keep my mask on. But you know, the benefit of this was, and I had to take full advantage of this while I was there. First of all, I never had a COVID test during this whole pandemic. Never had a reason to get a COVID test. So now that I'm traveling, got my first COVID test, so my COVID virginity, like the kids say, is gone. But while I was there, I would say that I felt like I was around too much people, or if I felt like the numbers were too great at this insert location, I got tested for free. And they'd ask me, "Oh, do you want antigen? Do you want the PCR?" I'm like, "Oh, I never got a PCR before. Let's do that." And literally, Saturday was the homecoming game. I felt like as if I got it for traveling the first time. After homecoming game, I felt like I was around too much people the next day. So I said, let me just check myself. Going back for another antigen, negative, negative, negative. And before I came back home, just my own peace of mind. Let me get a PCR to go home with. I already have it for my health visa, but just need for a peace of mind. And honestly, I thought that was the most convenient thing, like out of everything, and one of the things that I'm not used to, because I'm looking at it, I'm like, how much was the test? She's like, how much? She's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do I mean?
What do you mean? What I mean? Exactly. So I'm hoping that we get to the place as well as they have, where free testing will be offered. I experienced exactly what you experienced when I too went for my return COVID test, and I pulling out my cash, and the lady's like, "What are you doing?"
And I have cash specifically just for this because I cannot be stuck in a foreign country. I'm going to make sure.
Absolutely. And she was like, no, no, it's free. And I'm like, okay, well, just take a tip, do something.
Yeah,
Get
no,
them
do something.
something.
Hit me. Like, hit me. Do something, please.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're gonna
So that
get there, I think.
Yeah, yeah, we're on our way. We started with Inagua. I know we did a second island. Can't think of the second island off the top of my head. That has free testing, but I can't wait for it to get to Nassau because guess who will be there? If I feel as though that the workspace may be a little too crowded, if I feel as though that waiting for my food is a little too crowded, or anywhere, I will be there getting tested every single time.
Well, you almost sound to me like you're almost paranoid, and COVID has a way of building paranoia. Like
I
you went somewhere and you feel like because the testing free, you just gonna jump up and just get tested every minute.
I mean, yeah, because I'm trying to spend $100 every time. But I think what I guess what amplified my paranoia was that going to a foreign country and being Bahamians and being our own COVID sensitive requirements for returning passengers, returning residents. My biggest fear, my biggest paranoia came from being stuck in a foreign country. Or let's say you lost a little bit of change from vacation, or you already returned the rental car. So now what you can do because you're stuck at the airport with a positive COVID test, like those things that I guess helped inspire the paranoia. Although nothing to embed too much into me, but I mean actively so because a lot of folks aren't traveling for those same reasons too. I think it's just us being a part of the brave and the bold to I guess cross that leap of faith to see for ourselves and not hear other people's stories.
Absolutely. Somebody told me the other day with the Best of the Best concert, you knew who the Bahamians were because they were the only ones wearing masks.
Yeah, that's that. It's funny to laugh at now, but no, you know the Bahamians by the mask, and it's
And
crazy.
you can know them by their mask.
You shall know them by their masks. Okay, because even then, like, and as being in Rome, you do as the Romans. So I'm trying to, I guess, soak up every part of the social life that we are missing here in the Bahamas. So I am, although cautious, indulging a little bit of social life just to be transparent to everybody. But we're in insert entertainment places here, and I'm wearing my mask. I'm wearing even as I have my drink in my hand, like I'm like, okay, I want to be cool, but I'm like, okay, can you give me a little space, please? Like I want to take a sip. Can you give me a little space?
Wow, that's
And,
serious.
and it's only I think it's only because we hear the rumors of the Florida numbers. We see the numbers of deaths from persons in these foreign countries, and now that it's the difference of seeing it on TV, hearing it on the radio, getting your CNN updates, but to actually be on the streets in these countries or in these cities, you want to walk with a little bit more precaution. And I think for me, that precaution stemmed from not wanting to be stuck in a foreign country.
Say no more. We're going to take a quick break, find out what's happening on the streets. Yes, it's Friday. Y'all know how it is. Traffic tends to build up quickly on a Friday. We got our eye in the sky traffic report, followed by more right here on your hit station. We are Star 106 Hits.
Or is brought to you by Shield Insurance and Prudential Lawson.
Right? Listen to me. You talk about being able to party. So, as you know, Alpha Sound is getting ready to launch Bubble Fest.
Yes.
Next weekend, in which I was very pleased to understand how COVID protocols have been put in place. Whereas you can't walk with a test from your neighborhood lab, you have to get tested at the grounds. And it's inclusive in your ticket cost.
Oh, I like that a
Right?
lot, actually.
So they have started testing as early as Thursday. All right, because
Okay.
it's a full weekend. It's a full weekend of events. So you can go get your test. Once your test is negative, then you're banned. And you're banned for the weekend if you buy the weekend pass or whatever pass you want. Once your COVID test is done on site. And I think that is supposed to give patrons a different level of peace of mind.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
that is a different level of peace of mind, and I think that's one of the reasons why I kept going back for my test, because like I'm traveling Tuesday, but I took my travel test, my first test, Saturday, And I just felt like there was so much more activities in between Saturday and Tuesday. So I'm like, hold on, wait. I'm getting tested again.
One more test.
And I'm like, even then, I'm getting tested one more time. Like before I go home. Like just to ensure. I think that's what the testing too. It allowed me to not have a sense of panic, whereas it's as simple as signing up on a website. You pull up with your barcode and boom. Like the test was also back to me by times I even got home.
Exactly. So, with that, people are getting ready to party in the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go to your neighborhood lab and come to them and say, well, see, I've been tested. No, they want all testing done with
On site.
On site.
Period.
Which I think is really, 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 really cool. I think it's really cool.
It even adds a different experience too to the entertainment nightlife experience,
Now you realize this is the first major nightlife event. I want to talk about that when we get live in terms of the emergency orders being lifted next weekend. What does that mean for us? I know, right? Sound the alarm. I know. I know, it's crazy. Don't say that. Don't say that, please.
That's Charmaine says, I understand that you got peace of mind. That's a lot of tests. Boy, Charmaine. A lot of tests I had to pay for. A lot of tests that wasn't as bad as people make it seem. A lot of tests that, to me, in my head, justified necessary. So, yeah. I'd rather be sure than unsure.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my machine had stopped. Yeah, that is a lot of tests. But when I went with my test, I was like literally taking out money, and she's looking at me like, what are you doing? Like as if, you were stripping your clothes or something, the kind of look that was given.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm talking to a familiar face that you may know.
Let me see the familiar face.
Familiar face, can you come around, please? You may know it from I is the conch, beaten and bruised now.
Hi, lady. What's happening?
And not much. How you doing?
You look different.
Miss Bacardi.
Because it ain't the bald head.
You miss the ball in purple.
The bald and colored.
Man, I like the Bacardi look, man. Just a wig look.
So there's a difference.
It is
I like the honest look, man.
It is,
but it's still hot. It's still your girl. It's still your girl. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
All right, mama.
All righty.
All right, cool.
All right, here we go.
So good. They like it. What you caught who'd always been short on time could get a glimpse whilst they're waiting on the light. He said, you got it. And since now they got that image in their head, they make it a point to come back because now they almost know what they want. That's what you call a subterranean message. That's the technique they use in the States. Pentatile for all things concrete, like statues, pots, urns, patio stones, parking blocks, and furniture.
Excuse me, I get to talk. I'm tired of all the talking heads.
Talk.
Kick back with less talk and the best variety of music. Here's talking from Star 106 Hits.
Star 106 Hits, welcome back. Free your mind on a Feel Good Friday. Talking to PeeJae Fuego, who just recently returned from his vacation in the U.S. And we're pretty much just drawing an illustration and a comparison between the way of those people and the way we are during the pandemic. What's funny, Fuego, is that next weekend, life is about to change for Bahamians once again. We've been I think what happened is because it's been so long, we've already been what's the word I'm looking for? Accustomed to moving a certain way. We've been cultured now into, taking precautionary measures. And it's so apparent when you hit other countries, like you mentioned, and I remember when I went the other day, naturally it was an involuntary action for you to be looking for sanitization stations. You're looking for somebody to take your temperature, and that does not exist. And that's just the way the world seems to be outside of the Bahamas. Now,
Right.
with that said, next weekend, again, like I said, life is about to change for Bahamians. Do you think it's like, it's like having your child, you're growing up your child, you're nurturing your child, and you send them out into the world hoping that everything that you've taught them, they will remember and still utilize. So I say that to say, do you think in all that we've been doing, we've been so cultured, and it's such a part of our everyday life now.
Mhm.
Um, do you think we will continue doing all that we should as Bahamians to stay safe once the emergency orders are lifted? How do you think people are going to move now?
Road, they're gonna move at 65 miles per hour. What do you mean? They can't wait to touch the road. But I hope that they would do it
That's
safely.
fierce.
I do think that the sense of mentally securing yourself in terms of wearing your mask, sanitizing, even if you find it at a store, if you have your own sanitizer, I think that Bahamians have that down pack. I just think that now those safety precautions will get a chance to be practiced a little beyond 11 o'clock, maybe a little into the wee hours, maybe, or into
Maybe.
I call it the COVID hours. So we get a chance to I guess practice our safety measures in those times now. So I would just hope that people still take this seriously and still take the idea of we're still in a pandemic, and at least if you want to have fun, at least be safe about it. I saw that they did do some updates for or getting ready to do some updates. I don't know if I have an exclusive. Getting ready to do some updates in terms of the rules moving forward post the removal of the emergency orders, being it that I correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, but I think it's 30 persons for an indoor event that needs to be vaccinated, or if not 30, 20 for indoor events, and I think it's 50 persons for outdoor events. I think it is, but if I am wrong, everybody, please do not take that to Bible, but more so being able to have this idea of freedom and people not look at it in the sense of as in incarceration. Because remember in the first early days of the lockdown, that's what people were saying, like, oh, how y'all gonna lock me in my house? So how y'all gonna lock me up at 7 o'clock in my own yard? And it's like, okay, we were doing that because, as one more time, everybody, our geographical location in comparison to a lot of countries it may be a little different. So whereas if Tallahassee and Orlando are 4 or 5 hours apart, you have NASA's only 21/7. So I think we have to remember why we placed in those lockdown, we placed in these safety measures, and not get too lost in the sauce of the idea of now, oh, road time, road. But I would say, in every new venture, there's this honeymoon phase, and I think we will have some folks that will have the road mentality of going any way just because they could now. And even more so going because they couldn't before, and it's battling that mentality with, as well as now being charged with our own safety rather than having to force a lockdown, force a curfew, force the sense of being indoors or exercising in your own yard, sense of rules. So I look forward to seeing how that goes. Still stay 3 to 6 feet away from me if you're on shore. Still wear your mask when you dap me up. I still can sanitize your hands. So no hard feelings and no love lost. Just know I'm still doing that.
No matter what, right?
Yeah, no matter what. And I will still say, because things have not changed since the start of the pandemic to now being in the thick of the pandemic. I still come from a small family, a small at-risk family, and I cannot risk that. So I will always be masked up.
And you know what's funny? The funny thing about this is if we don't continue on the path that we're on in terms of being very stringent with, all the measures, we could get locked back down like this. Don't feel like for 1 second that a lockdown can't be reinforced.
No, please don't feel like that lockdown can't happen in this new day.
It'll be an old day of lockdown.
It'll be like yesterday all over again. Don't play. But go ahead.
And we know the Yuletide season is upon us. Christmas is no time to be locked down. That ain't even right.
Not even
That's
like
that's
that drains the mood all in itself. Christmas is no time to be indoors by 9 or indoors by 7. Like this is no time for that. At the same time, be safe, my people. Be cautious. Even
vigilant.
be vigilant, be patient with yourself. And at the same time, even if it's to the point where it makes others uncomfortable, make sure that your safety is always prioritized. Make sure the safeties of your loved ones, of others, are prioritized. Because yeah, you may be vaccinated because you don't want to be missed out on your Walmart or your Applebee's and all the good stuff, but you have some folks who actually need to get vaccinated because they're still in the church pew as your grandmother, who still go to the food store as your uncles and your aunts, whose children are still in schools with your nieces, nephews, and children. So you want to make sure that these things are still prevalent. Yes, no more lockdown, but the pandemic is still real. COVID is still very real. It doesn't have to, don't wait for it to get to your doorsteps to think that it is real. So if you aren't vaccinated, this is your time to do so. So before you shout road, you need to shout second dose. You need to shout, oh, I got mine. No, seriously, that's what you need to shout before you shout road. And if you can't shout any of those things prior to, road ain't for you. That's as simple as it is.
That's serious right there. Because, mind you, I wanted to, check in with some of the vaccination sites to see how significantly the numbers have either gone up, are the same, or have decreased. Now, just in your circle, are you finding more people being more apt to taking the vaccine?
Oh, definitely. I remember I had friends and family of friends who I remember when I got vaccinated and I got my second dose, and you have your sticker on, and not to say wear it as like to show off or be proud or to force you, but to let you know, like, what's good in the hood on this side. And having conversation with those folks to say, oh well, they're not getting vaccinated for insert whatever reason here. To now see them, I guess, I don't know, it might have been the U.S. Embassy or the U.S. enforcing them, our neighbors telling if you can't come to my house to play if you don't have your vaccine. I don't know, whatever it is. Whatever it may be, though, I'm appreciative of it. If whatever inspires you to do so, whatever selfish, shallow, health reason, whatever you need it to be, I don't care. As long as you're vaccinated, as long as you're safe, as long as it isn't coming from a conspiracy theory to say that they're trying to put the microchip in me to track me. What? No, we're not. What? You born behind me with garden hills? Like, we're not trying to track you, I promise. It's no love lost, but no one is interested that deep. You just want to make sure that you're healthy and you're safe.
You know what's funny though? Because in my mind, this is just simple mathematics. If it is that the numbers were astronomical in the beginning, and now numbers have decreased significantly because people are getting vaccinated, what's the outcome? What's the product? I mean, if we're doing simple addition, the answer to an addition problem is what again? It's with subtraction is the difference.
Oh
With
no, with addition will be
multiplication
some.
is the product, and with division is the quotient. What is it with the addition?
Addition will be some.
The sum. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so the sum of it. Let me just sum it up for you. Is that the more people that are getting vaccinated, the numbers obviously have decreased.
Yes.
So it's simple mathematics.
And my people, it's no big thing to like have these numbers. It isn't hard at all. There's access to information. I think that the Ministry of Health and all the other reporters from media outlets do a great job in informing us in terms of the COVID numbers, the vaccinated numbers, all the good stuff too. So there's no idea of hiding this information, or when people say that, oh well, even if you're vaccinated, you're still getting sick and all that. Here's the report and here are the numbers documented by health officials. Where are you getting your information from if they don't say so? And my people, it's simple research, and you'd want with a matter like this, when it comes to health, politics, or even like world news, it's best that you can easily Google. In these same phones that we like to, take pictures on and go to WhatsApp for our news for, you can actually go to Google and have something like, a credible source. Before you start speaking on being microchipped, before you start speaking on but what's another one?
Population control.
Right, there's a wild conspiracy theory of thinking that people are trying to track you, people are trying to take your information, and I promise you they're not. Like I promise you, I can rest your uneasy heart that they aren't trying to track you, they aren't trying to microchip you, like at all.
Let's take a break on that one. All right. You know what it is. Free your mind. Feel Good Friday. For Star 106 hits.
Push to talk connected.
Yeah, you know, every time I hear it, it's like I'm trying to figure out if the fact that we are getting closer to quote unquote freedom, obviously the vaccine is doing something right because these numbers only started to decrease when the vaccine was introduced.
Hmm.
So why is that not computing for a lot of people, you think?
I think a lot of folks still like this idea of being able to complain about the vaccine, and they have this. Yeah, I think being able to complain about
How do you complain about it?
you
That's
complain
about
about it like, oh, they're trying to force us to get this vaccine, or oh, they trying to take my rights away for my health, and I'm like, do
do
you have
you
mental
realize do you realize that this vaccine has caused more division in this world more than politics and religion?
more than almost as much as race, and I think that's crazy to me.
Like
That's
like black and
crazy.
white, right?
Yes.
Let's go back to the early 50s and 60s when segregation was real.
No,
This
talk about it
beyond that point,
when there was only whites only bar, or no colors allowed. Now it's only vaccinated allowed,
yes.
only
So,
vaccinated folks.
but think about it. Can you imagine living in a world back then where it would say only whites? Like, think about it.
Do you know me? My mom joke about that, and we always see these movies and everything being depicted in media, and it's one of those things. Like I honestly, I think it's a hard knock life now, but I cannot imagine living even in any sense of slavery era, any sense of
Let's
racial
go.
discrimination.
Let's go. Let's go. Star 106 hits. Welcome back. Free your mind on a Feel Good Friday. Yes, indeed. Speaking of feeling good, next weekend, emergency orders will be lifted. Are you looking forward to it? Do you think we're going to act differently collectively as a people? Do you think we will continuously still practice all safety protocol? Or do you think we are just going to, everything goes in one ear and out the other? Are we going to be overly excited about being able to be on the road? Like, you know what's funny, PJ? A lot of people just going to be on the road just because have nowhere to go, nothing to do, but just to say they're experiencing road after midnight.
Yes, just to say like, oh, but I've been out after 12 in so long. Let me see what the night look like again. Oh, I've been on my house in around this time in so long. But then you also have other folks that I can't hang no more because my body's so used to going to bed by 9:30.
Hello.
And I'm tethering on that line to where I'll be yawning by 10. I'm like, oh, I'm so used to this 9 o'clock curfew, or so used to the 7 o'clock curfew. And
You know,
but
that's real, though.
now it's taking a little bit out of that.
That is real. I've been hearing more, even younger folk. Up to yesterday, having a conversation with a very young person who said the very same thing. Like, we've been so conditioned now that at the mere age of 20, little bit, they have to be in bed by 10 o'clock,
Mhm.
under 30 and feeling tired by 9.
But that is too. I think it also like not what it is, but what it shows that I love to think that generations change, people change, and time changes. So it shows how your 20 a little bit may be different from my 20 a little bit. That's so different from the nowadays 20 a little bit. In comparison to like socializing or everyday, even school. I look at sense of like these children now who are in virtual school, and in comparison to when I was in primary school or when I was my first year of college, and it's like, okay, I never knew about virtual online classes till like my junior year. So to let alone start out in that, and to know how I didn't like it then, or to see that this is their everyday life. This is how do you meet friends? How do you socialize in public? How do you know what you're where and when? I think those are different social skills. I think this generation of folks who came up in this pandemic may lack a little bit.
And you know what's funny too? I often think about, I think, just in my opinion, that this is not the time to bring children in the world. But of course, it's going to happen. It will
Right.
happen inevitably. People will continuously juice for life.
Yes.
Um, and with that said, these children come into a world knowing about wearing a mask pretty much 24/7. They don't know what life is prior to, and I think that's so crazy.
No, you know what's so crazy? I had my goddaughter. She may be about if two, and anytime I pull out like my hand sanitizer, she comes up with a hand like this, and like I say, you know what this is? And she says sanitizer, and like as just children do, and I just think that's so crazy because you have this idea of before the hand sanitizer and the mask, you had the children coming out knowing how to use tablets from a couple months here, a couple
From the womb.
months. Yes, from the womb already knowing how to do tablets. Back in our time, it was more so if you had a Game Boy, you was saying something. If you know how
Let
to
me give you better than that.
hit me,
Back in the day, believe it or not, children used to come out of the womb with their eyes closed, and you had to wait for some time to pass until they actually open their eyes. And now children come out with their eyes wide open.
looking around, ready to go, like,
Like,
oh,
oh,
what's
this
this
is how
happening
this
here?
is.
Like, oh, well, here's really bright. What's going on?
Oh, that's the way. I've been hearing your voice for 9 months. I wonder what you look like,
Like,
mommy.
this what you look like? Oh, nice to meet you, gal.
I got your eyes, lady.
No,
I'm
but
just saying.
that's so true. And even just to backtrack a little bit during the break in terms of how this day and age is so different. I think that we all have this sense of this social stigmas that sense would spark social debates, social conversations, and the vaccine being one of the main things now. If you even look at how a comparison, how it's evolved, because you mentioned segregation, take it back to where we were, where it was blacks versus whites, or even if you think that we've gotten out of it, it's gotten better, but are we out of it? So it's kind of like the evolution of those things. How you had like no color allowed, or only whites, only bars, or only whites on this bus. You have in this day and age where it's the vaccinated only, or please present vaccination or PCR test to ensure that type of idea. So you want to make sure that you're conscious of how time is changing, and you're conscious to not be left behind. Because no one's going to force you, but the world itself is going to protect itself around you. Because like, okay, no one's going to force you to get vaccinated, no one's going to force you to do anything, but in order to insert
Do
any
this.
in order to hop on my plane, in order to come to my country, in order to enter my grocery stores, in order to work at my establishment, I need to see it. No one's gonna force you though. No. You said freedom of choice. I ain't force you. I ain't force the wife.
I'm forcing you, but
I'm forcing you. But if you want to do that,
this
you
job,
gotta do
you
this.
get another one, But
Yeah,
this
no.
here one, yeah.
No, if you want to do that, you can't do this. And in order to do that, you need this. So my thing is,
You
it's
know
not.
what's funny though? PeeJae?
Mm,
Think about it. This is not the first time that persons have felt forced to get vaccines. Just think about everyone that's ever passed through a school dorm or a school hall or a school auditorium or a school classroom. In order to
exactly.
enter any school, as young people, you needed to have your vaccination card. And if you didn't, you could not have or register your child in school. And that still stands today.
That still stands today. Empress, take it even more so as a world traveler like yourself. If to enter certain countries that people love to glamorize and romanticize on their social medias, and to enter these countries, you need that country's vaccination list, where and not even including COVID at the time. You have all these other fevers, all these other diseases that they are preventing from. That people would run to take just because I want to go to Cape Town, just because I want to visit.
Yeah, you
Egypt.
call the right countries. You're right,
Yes.
especially the went to Africa, you had to get that malaria, the dengue, all these
Yeah.
different vaccines to enter the country. You're
And
right.
these are vaccine people, my people. These aren't just regular boosters. No one just came up with the word vaccine thanks to COVID. We've been taking vaccines. We've had numerous vaccines, and even more so. Just how you did your research then, I would hope that you do now, and not just walk up this idea of being chipped.
Excuse me, as a woman who's had a baby or two, um, when you have this bundle of joy, right?
Mhm.
And you go, they place the baby on your chest, and you bond that first moment. You look at the baby, you're all in love and all of that good stuff. They take the baby from you, they clean the baby up, they bring it back at a certain point, and you get to bond again.
Mhm.
Friends start to come over, family members come to see the baby, all that good stuff.
Mhm.
Then before you are released, you are told that in 6 weeks, you need to bring the baby to your neighborhood pediatrician. Shouts out to Carlos Thomas,
Shout
happens
out.
to be mine, right? And you are to get the first 6 week shot. I don't recall as a mother, and I'm speaking from my own personal experience,
Mhm.
freaking out or running to Google, or you trusted that doctor of choice, and then you recall the fact that your parents also did the very same thing, and this is from generation to generation. So why are we freaking out?
No, legit. Like Shavonda says, yeah, she said that was such a long time ago, and we didn't do no research on no vaccine, and it's more so trust.
And the thing is, we did more than one.
Yeah.
We started at 6 weeks of our life. And then you
Mhm.
were to come back after that, you get the MMR, and then you get the polio, and then you get the diphtheria, then you get the
Mhm.
tetanus, and the list goes on. And every year you bring the child back until I think you get a break at 7, and then you come back again at
Then you come back
10.
at 12.
Hello,
Like 10 to 12, yeah.
I
And
got
even
the
more so, take it even beyond that. Certain folks that maybe without excluding those countries, like if your child applies for a tertiary scholarship or gets accepted into tertiary education anywhere else in the world, and they're coming from the said Bahamas, they need to present that same vaccination card that you all don't want to implement in terms of a green card, not a green card, a green passport. Sorry, it's been in effect since then, where you have to show you certain vaccinations, and if you don't have those vaccinations, you need to get them in order to qualify for any of the benefits that may be in any part of your education.
something else just came to mind for all of the
Hit me.
people who say, right? Well, if you take the vaccine, right, it don't ward you from getting COVID-19. And yes, that stands to be true.
True.
Yes, you can still contract it. The point is the probability of you getting it to where it's detrimental to your life is it decreases your chances of death. It definitely decreases your chances of hospitalization.
Mhm,
I want
mhm.
to go back to our childhood years again. Now that I see Shavonda bring up measles, we used to get shots from measles and chicken pox. Did it prevent chicken pox and measles? No, it didn't. But I tell you what, it lessened the chances of measles and chicken pox taking over your whole body and
Mhm.
giving you all the itchies and the pain and the growths in your mouth and in your ears. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It may be limited to just a few. You had 4 or 6, and you could actually count and connect the dots.
Right. Whereas instead of being, I can't remember the type of medication, but it's the pink lotion that stains on your skin.
Hey, calamine lotion, get it
Oh,
right.
there you go. I'm like, please hit me with the name of it. But I know just what it used to do. Instead of it being where you have a whole arm, you actually just have like
Yes.
1 spot, 2 spots, 3 spots. And even more so, like you want to look at for the idea of you get vaccinated, even not for yourself, you get vaccinated for others. For whereas if persons don't take this pandemic seriously and they think of it as a insert conspiracy theory here, for whatever reason of how it's created, how it came about, get vaccinated for yourself, because you have folks out here who won't wear a mask, and that's in this country and abroad, who won't wear a mask because they feel like it's an infringement on their personal rights, and
Right.
they by all means by your personal rights. But I want to make sure that I'm vaccinated in case I run into an area, or I'm in an area of that person isn't as cautious as I am, or because I'm going back home to my family. They may not have a family or may not have much of a risk like I do, but I'm always going to ensure, because whether it be my occupation, whether it be my social status, whatever, I know that I'm still out, and I'm not sure what people do in their spare time. So it's just making sure that I know what I'm doing in my spare time. I don't know what you're doing in your spare time, so I'm going to protect myself.
Absolutely. I also want to recall the flu shot. Just because you
Mhm.
get the flu shot, and plenty of y'all when that came out, there was no question
Still getting
about
the
that. You
flu.
ran and took the flu shot. Did it ward you from getting the flu? The answer to that was no as well.
And,
So why
and
are
that-
they expecting the vaccine to ward them totally from COVID when none of the other vaccines that we've ever taken in our lifetime warded us for what we took it for?
do you know
I'm
what it
just
is?
saying, I just want to, look at this thing logically.
Yeah. But you know what I also attribute to some of our verbiage in how the messaging of the vaccines came about. It came across as a cure, and I would fall that because our Bahamian people don't like to read. So I think more so once you tell somebody how it is, or if you say it from a lax perspective, you had a lot of folks in position. I don't want to recall the yesteryears, but you have a lot of folks in position who would insinuate or even give air to that the vaccine was a cure, and that you gave the idea of, oh, once you get vaccinated, we're gonna have our vaccinated free day, and yada yada yada. And I think that there needed to be a bit more education around that. To say that yes, you can still get it. It is not a cure, but it's definitely a great preventative measure to I guess help combat this disease or this virus, along with your mask, along with staying 3 to 6 feet away, along with sanitizing. And being mindful of that, I do think that the messaging might have been a bit skewed, and it just needed a bit more clarity on that.
As well as Charmaine is saying on our comments here, that it came out too quickly. But I don't think what people have missed is that the SARS has been around more than 10 years. Like
So,
they did not just start, what, oh gee, pandemic, ooh,
oh,
2020.
I never
Did
had
they
this
start working on
disease.
this now?
I never know what's going on. But SARS has been happening from, I think SARS happened in 2002,
2010, eh?
2010. Hold on, while I
Yeah,
have this, see that same research right there, everybody. Let me quickly do that.
go right ahead. I challenge you on that one, 2010.
Okay, boom, boom,
So
boom.
it's been around, and they did not just jump up hunky dory and started to, develop this. I don't think because it wasn't common knowledge, or you never had a chance to, or had the interest to Google it, or to
Hmm.
even know. You now see it as a hurry come up.
And even then, like people don't understand the urgency that we needed for something like this. When you look at the mortality rate, no one expected, because everyone's like, "Oh, well, you have these other diseases like HIV that they didn't come up with a vaccine for." And I think that type of conversation, that type of debate, or that stance on the debate is kind of skewed because I guess the mortality rate that COVID-19 came with, it was wiping out countries. At one point, Italy, they did not know what to do. Italy really, I remember the prime minister, the president, I can't remember what they call it exactly, came on. He was crying at the press conference saying that, please, my people, stay inside. My people, we don't know what to do. We need help. And a country like as the size of Italy or anywhere on that side of the world that was bigger than the Bahamas, you have folks complaining about it. So why would I not believe that? Why would I not believe that? Why would I have to wait for a family member to die of it? And I've had family members die of this, as well as knowing people who've gotten it, and it's changed their entire way of life. And knowing what it was, I guess, when it started out, to see how it's evolved now, because the COVID-19 people catch it now is not the same when it first came out, where you had it maybe for 2 weeks and you were lucky to be on a ventilator, if that, and you not shook back, but you weren't down and out. In comparison to now, you have folks that are dying by boatloads, by the droves. You have folks that are on ventilators. You have folks that are on dialysis machines. You have folks that even have to learn how to walk again. You have folks that are having a neurological aspect of where they don't remember, where they're having a sense of amnesia for certain things. And it's like, okay.
You know what I'm gonna do?
Mhm.
I can see if I can get Sawyer to come and tell his story.
Yes, people we know and work with, like
Yeah.
that people think that, oh, well, this ain't real because I know nobody who have it. But no, why am I waiting for someone who I know to have it when we can prevent it?
Yeah, you know what? Cut it right there. I'm going
Cut
to
it right
reach
there.
out to Sawyer right now and see if I could get Sawyer on next week to talk about his journey and the fact that, he too was one who was like, what, COVID? Oh, my, COVID, what? What? All right. So PeeJae Fuego, thank you so much. Folks, of course, I need you to keep it locked. Top of the hour, 5 o'clock here. Drive at 5 with yours truly. And DJ AI comes your way.
Bye.
I just realized the time. I'm
Oh,
way over time.
oh, we were chatting it up. This was I was freeing my mind. Sorry, y'all. I had to get out my chest.
Yes, so you are right, sir. He will be there, Empress. I am going to text him right now.
No, that's a great story too. Even himself, his story is great. Someone we know, personality, and even sense of. I'd love you to mention the type of backlash people tried to give him from it too.
I am texting him right now to
Right,
see
nice.
Yep, he's online. Okay, so I'll see if I could line this up for next week, guys, where I can see if I can get Sawyer to tell his story. Somebody that we know, somebody that the public knows for a fact that battled this deadly disease, and it's taken him some time to return to some level of normalcy because he's still not there. He's still, as PeeJae mentioned, persons who are going through therapy sessions. He had to learn how to breathe again, like Tony Braxton.
No, come on now. Come on.
Brother had to learn how to breathe again.
And even then, like physical therapy, like people thought this was just, people still think it's crazy to me. And I have to advocate for it because I have friends and family that are currently down and out, that are surviving, that are trying to move forward from it. This thing isn't just a hachu, bless you, or a little runny nose. This
you see, the problem is some people get away with that.
Yeah, some people get away with just those things.
Yes.
But my people, this can evolve to so many different things. You'd be so surprised, and don't wait for it to where it has to surprise you. I promise you. I have friends now that my heart even goes out to making sure that some people still take this for a joke, and just because it hasn't happened, you don't mean it happening.
Sawyer answered, "Hey, Empress."
Hi.
You can't see it, but anyway, so he answered. Anyway, so I will ask him. So my love, my good co-worker, I'm live on my feed right now. PeeJae and I were talking about vaccinations and the importance and the fact that, road can be open next week, and a lot of people still ain't taking it serious until it knocks on your door. And I think I know you're still in your recovery mode, and people have been watching the journey. But I would love to have you on the show next week, telling the story and the journey as you still battle and, trying to get back to your 100% self. If you would bless us with your presence virtually next week.
Oh my God. Want to update you for that SARS thing I was updating on. So SARS had you say you want to bet on that?
No.
Okay, just want to make sure because no mean
I didn't say that. Me, you don't bet. Notice I'm even looking at the camera.
But SARS outbreak first started in 2002 to 2004.
What happened in 2010?
Let me see in 2010.
You ain't taking my money again, bro.
I'm like, hold on, let me see here. The 2002-2004 outbreak of the severe acute respiratory syndrome, that's what SARS means. Severe acute respiratory syndrome caused by SARS, a lot infected, the first outbreak, the outbreak was first identified in Foshan, can't pronounce this Chinese name, China.
Don't worry about it.
2002, the World Health Organization, yada, 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 yada. Ni hao pong yo, I don't see 2010, unless this one doesn't have it.
All right, here we go. SARS 10 years after disease or condition. This is from the CDC.
Okay.
All right, SARS 10 years. Several severe acute, the same thing you say, is a respiratory illness that affected many worldwide in 2003. It was caused by a coronavirus called SARS. Okay, so from 2003, it was already called coronavirus. Like, just because y'all didn't know about it, don't mean that it didn't exist.
And also, just to clarify too, coronavirus doesn't mean, I guess it doesn't define this disease itself. It's just more so a new disease that's evolved from all that has occurred. So it's a coronavirus. A little education, everybody.
Yeah, but it does. All right. So it was caused by a coronavirus called
Mhm,
SARS. Coronavirus SARS-CoV.
mhm.
And it was first reported in February 2003. And then, of course, it spread to 29 countries where 8,096 people got SARS and 774 of them died. But because a lot of times these things don't happen in our backyard, we don't know about it. We ain't
Yeah,
trying to listen to news and we ain't trying to read. Every time you hear things happen, in other parts of the world, if it
they
ain't
switch. They
Miami,
cut off.
we don't hear that.
We
Things
don't
that
hear it.
happen in Afghanistan, things are happening in the Middle East, things are happening in Europe. We don't hear. I remember one time, I'll never forget it. A family member of mine, I remember I had called home. I was touring back then,
Mhm,
and I was in Africa at the time when Nelson Mandela got freed, right?
mhm.
And it was such a momentous time. It was a big part of history. And I remember calling home with the excitement. And a family member of mine said, but that have nothing to do with us in the Bahamas.
And it's like,
Cold,
what? As a black
cold.
person, like
Right. It was
does not
like,
move you?
see that? When that happened at? Oh, he free. Eh?
Oh,
Oh,
hey, who did this?
they let him out.
Oh,
Just remind me, who done this again?
it remind
What
me.
happened?
That's the insert prime minister, insert president here, right? And like,
But and they
no,
asked me, call PeeJae. So what did that have to do with us here in the Bahamas? And I was like, oh,
uh,
bad connection. See that bad connection? You ain't
oh,
never my
hey,
time. That
get
time
my
there wasn't no WhatsApp. I
get up.
paid for the phone too.
Sorry, breaking up.
Sorry, can't hear you. Bye. See that? Bye.
Bye. Because even
Well
I
done.
mean, I think me looking at it now, I would say I attribute a lot of my pro blackness to going to an HBCU and seeing the diversity and seeing, I guess, a sense
Again,
of,
all it boiled down to is more exposure.
yeah, I say going somewhere where you feel your minority, whereas where you're coming from predominantly black country and seeing how black people are treated throughout the world.
Well,
It
when I was
brings
living in the States, you ever been anywhere where I remember I was in one pharmacy one time and you hear security aisle 3, security
oh
aisle 3, right? Yeah, man. I've been through
oh
plenty.
oh
I
yeah,
could
no
write a
no,
book
I got
on
some
it.
stories to hit them with too. Trust me.
Right. And listen to me. You looking in freaking aisle 3 and it's only you. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you look around like, oh, this is
Only-
danger. There's a danger happening. Like, oh, I need to get out of here. Dangerous happening.
Oh, let me tell you something. Wait, I could tell stories for days, but I out of time. That's enough stories for y'all.
Yeah, there's enough stories. Y'all enjoy your
See
Friday.
y'all.
Love your like cook food.
Yes. Love you too.
Love you too,
Later.
baby.
Okay.